guys! So today, for my Booktube review, I'm going to be talking about the book Wild. It was so good! I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me talk about the book first. So the book is about a woman named Cheryl and her mother dies of cancer when she's about like 22, and so she goes in this downward spiral for about 4 years where she's like cheating on her husband a lot, and then her marriage kind of dissolves because of that. And so she gets the idea in her head to decide to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, which goes from the California-Mexico border all the way up to Washington, but she doesn't hike the whole thing. She only hikes like a portion of it, but most of it. And it's about pretty much like the stuff she sees and her kind of thinking back to memories that led her to this point in her life. And at first when I started reading this book, I'm like, that sounds awesome to hike all that and do all this self-reflection and all this stuff. But then upon reading it, I realized that you could not pay me to freaking do this trek. She talks about how her feet, even near the end of her hike, are still blistered and aching, and her whole body aches, and the pack rubs her body raw in certain parts, and then after it's done rubbing it raw, it calluses it over the different parts, like where the straps are sitting, and she lightens her load as much as she thinks she possibly can, and her pack is still really heavy, and I'm not about any of that. So it'd be nice if I could do that, but I know myself well enough to know that I don't want any part of that. I mean, you're intentionally not showering for days at a time on purpose, but that is just me. I'll talk about some of the stuff I didn't like about the book because there's a lot of stuff I loved about the book. I could go longer on that. So, when some people wrote reviews about the book, they didn't like that she was kind of like self-absorbed and ill-prepared and kind of a brat, I guess you would say. And that didn't really bother me up until, like, there's a certain point in the book where she kind of thinks about sex a lot, and she, at one point, she's like, oh, I've never had to be one of the boys before, and it's weird having to be, like, a non-sexual object, kind of. There's a part where, like, this guy is trying to help her lighten her pack, and he takes out this long row of condoms she has, and he's like, do you really need these? And she's like, no, and then she, like, when he's not looking, she takes one anyway. And that kind of bugged me. Like, there's also another part where she's trying to learn how to, like, use a ice axe, and she's, like, practicing with it, and she says something about, like, the other guys pretended not to notice, and I'm like, there, at, like, that point, I was like, just get over yourself. Come on, and I will, kind of a spoiler alert, she kind of does get over herself, but, like, her ill-preparedness didn't really bother me, because I probably would do the same thing. Like, she's talking about how she should have, practiced breaking in her boots and carrying her pack around to get used to the weight, and she's like, I just didn't bother. Or she was supposed to read her guidebook on the plane to getting to the trail, and she's like, I didn't get around to it, and I was like, yeah, I'd fucking do that, I understand that. But just I don't know, the sexual thing, I just wanted to shake her and be like, get over yourself, because I felt like she was just obsessing about herself, almost, and it was a little bit annoying, but not so much so that it bugged me. Entire book. I don't know. For me, like, she would, like, engage in drinking and try to, and think about engaging in sex, and I almost felt like she needed, like, whenever it would get to those points in the book when she would drink something, I'd be like, no, you're not supposed to do that. But, because for me, it felt like that was part of her old life, and that she should be trying to stay away from it completely. But near the end, I kind of got that, like, it wasn't about, like, staying chaste and trying to completely, like, shed her skin of her old life. It was just her trying to heal and process and be alone for once. And so I kind of got used to the drinking and stuff like that. There wasn't really anything else that I didn't like about the book. This book was really freaking good. I really loved it. It was everything I'd want in a travel book. It reminded me of when I read Eat, Pray, Love, and I don't know if any of you have had this experience reading this book, but I really loved the Italy part. Like the part where she's traveling and eating there. And then as I went through India and Bali, and she was getting more spiritual, I kind of lost it for me, because it was about traveling, but it was more about her, like, finding herself and stuff. But I love the like, it felt like a travel book and everything I'd want from a travel experience when I was reading the Italy part. That's how Wild felt to me. It was Italy from Eat, Pray, Love. It was just, like, the things that she was seeing and doing and experiencing is exactly what I would want to do and experience and feel while I'm traveling, something like that. But to read it is to experience it without actually doing it, and it felt like I was doing that, and it was just so good. And I really liked her getting lost in her thoughts and flashing back to kind of some points that led her up to her journey. I really thought that was nice and, like, seamless the way she wove her memories in with her current story. So that's my review of Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I must be on like a female memoirist kind of kick right now because I'm now reading Blue Nights by Joan Didion. Spoiler alert, I don't like it very much. But I'm over halfway through, and so I'm gonna push forward. I'm not too big a fan of Joan Didion's work. The only reason I'm reading it is because it's kind of the follow-up to Your Magical Thinking, and it talks about her struggles with her daughter's health issues. And so I thought it'd be interesting. Another review for another time. But yeah, that's what I'm reading right now, so I'll give you a review of that. Love you guys, bye!